She cleans houses for a living, you know? My mother-in-law Diane's voice carried across the formal dining room, cutting through the gentle Christmas music like a blade through silk. 23 members of the Wellington family turned to look at me, the outsider. The disappointment, the woman who'd somehow trapped their golden boy. My phone vibrated in my pocket, the third emergency call in an hour, but I'd promised my husband Michael I'd make it through one family dinner without leaving. But when my pager went off 30 seconds later, with a level 1 trauma alert, I knew that promise was about to shatter along with every assumption Diane Wellington had made about the woman her son married. The only question was, should I answer the call on speaker, or let them keep living in their comfortable delusion? My name is Dr. Sophia Torres, and I am about to explain how I became one of the youngest cardiothorax surgeons in Massachusetts, while my husband's family thought I scrubbed toilets for minimum wage. Let me rewind to where the spectacular misunderstanding began. I met Michael Wellington 3 years ago at a community center fundraiser in Boston. ID volunteered to help serve meals, a rare day off from my surgical residency that ID dedicated to giving back. Michael was there doing pro bono accounting work for the nonprofit. He was kind, funny, and completely unpretentious. When he asked what I did, I was so exhausted from a 28-hour shift that I just said, "I work at the hospital." He didn't press for details, and I was too tired to elaborate. We started dating. Our schedules were chaotic, me with my 80-hour resident work weeks, him with his demanding job at his family's investment firm. We saw each other when we could, usually late at night, often with me in scrubs or casual clothes, always exhausted. Michael never asked detailed questions about my work. He knew I worked long hours, that I was dedicated, that I often came home drained. He saw me in my cleaning clothes, sold college t-shirts and jeans I wore under my scrubs, and, somewhere along the way, he got the wrong impression. Or rather, I realized much later, his mother got the wrong impression, and he never corrected her. We got engaged after 18 months. Quick, maybe, but when you're a surgical resident, sleeping for hours a night, you learn to make decisions efficiently. That's when I met the Wellington family. The Wellingtons were old money, the kind of Boston Brahmins who summered in Martha's Vineyard and had portraits of ancestors who signed the Declaration of Independence. Diane Wellington was the matriarch, a former debutante who'd married into even older money. Our first meeting was at their estate in Brookline. I'd come straight from a 36-hour shift and was wearing jeans and a loose sweater, my dark hair in a messy bun, no makeup, probably smelling faintly of hospital antiseptic. Diane took one look at me and her smile became fixed. "So lovely to meet you, Sophie," she said, getting my name wrong immediately. "Sophia," I corrected gently. "Of course. Michael tells me you work at the hospital." "Yes, at Massachusetts General." "How wonderful. In administration." "Actually, I'm in." "Mom, should we do the garden tour?" Michael interrupted, and the moment passed. Later, I asked him about it. "Why didn't you let me finish?" I was going to tell her I'm a surgical resident. He looked uncomfortable. "Mom can be a bit elitist about careers." I thought we'd ease her into it. Ease her into what? "I'm a doctor, Michael. It's not exactly a shameful profession." I know, just ... Let's get through the engagement period, then we'll clarify everything." That should have been my first red flag, but I was so busy with my residency operating on hearts, saving lives, studying for boards that I didn't push it. The misunderstanding crystallized at our engagement party. Diane was introducing me to her society friends, and I overheard her say, "She works at Mass General, does cleaning, I believe, very humble work." I was mortified, but Michael squeezed my hand and whispered, "Please, not now, not in front of everyone." So I stayed silent, and the silence became complicity. Over the next year, as I finished my residency and started my fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery, the Wellingtons' misconception grew. Diane would make comments about manual labor and honest work with this condescending sympathy that made my skin crawl. Michael's sister, Amanda, once asked if I had to wear a uniform, like the cleaning staff at the club. I'd opened my mouth to correct her, but Michael jumped in. "Sophia doesn't like talking about work. It's her private time." After 2 years of this, I'd become complicit in my own misrepresentation. It was easier than fighting. I was working 100-hour weeks in my fellowship, performing complex cardiac surgeries, publishing research, and frankly, I didn't have the energy to care what the Wellingtons thought. Michael and I had a small courthouse wedding, my idea, because I couldn't get time off for a big ceremony. Diane was devastated. We could have waited until you had a better job, she told me. As if employment stability was my issue, and not the fact that I was literally saving lives daily. Which brings us to yesterday, Christmas Day at the Wellington estate. I'd been on call for the past 72 hours, but hadn't been called in. A miracle. Michael was thrilled. Finally, a full family dinner with my wife. Mom's been planning this for weeks. I should have known better than to hope. The dining room was something out of a magazine. Well-foot ceilings, oil paintings, a table set with china, probably older than my grandmother, 23 Wellingtons and their adjacent relatives, all in cocktail attire. I'd worn a simple black dress, my hair down for once, actually wearing makeup. I thought I looked nice. Diane kissed the air near my cheek. Sophia, how, festive. Though that dress is quite plain, isn't it? It's Armani, Mom, Michael said quietly. Her eyebrows rose. Really? Well, I suppose even cleaning pays better these days. I bit my tongue and followed Michael to our seats, notably at the far end of the table, away from the important family members. Dinner started pleasantly enough. Turkey, glazed ham, sides that probably cost more than most people's weekly groceries. Conversation flowed around me: stock portfolios, vacation homes, whose children got into which prep schools. Then Diane tapped her wine glass. I'd like to make a toast, she announced. To family, to the Wellington legacy, and to the values we hold dear: hard work, integrity, and marrying within one's station. Her eyes flicked to me on that last part. Some people, she continued, don't understand our world. They come from simpler backgrounds, but we welcome them anyway, because that's what good Christians do. Michael's hand found mine under the table, squeezing apologetically. Take our dear Sophia, Diane said, and my stomach dropped. She cleans houses for a living, you know, at the hospital, I believe. Very physical work. Manual labor, not something any of us could imagine doing, but someone has to do it, don't they? Murmurs of agreement around the table. Amanda nodded sympathetically. Michael's cousin Edward looked at me with pity. I think it's admirable, Diane continued, that Michael looked past her circumstances, past her immigrant background. My parents came here legally from Mexico 40 years ago, I interrupted quietly. My father's a civil engineer, my mother's a teacher. Of course, Diane waved dismissively. The point is, we're a family that values all types of work, even the unglamorous kinds. Even when someone cleans up after others for minimum wage. My phone rang. Every head turned to look at me. Diane's expression was scandalized. Really, Sophia phones at the dinner table. I pulled it out. Massachusetts General Hospital. My heart rate kicked up. I need to take this, I said. Absolutely not, Diane said firmly. This is family time. Whatever cleaning emergency they have can wait. My pager went off. Then my phone rang again. Excuse me, I said, standing. Michael grabbed my wrist. Soph, please, just this once, stay. I looked at him and saw something that made my chest tight. He was embarrassed, not of his mother's behavior, but of me taking a call. It's the hospital, I said, so let them call someone else. Amanda chimed in. How essential can a cleaning person really be? My phone rang a third time. I answered. Dr. Torres, I said clearly. The room went silent at the doctor part. This is Dr. Patricia Asay from the ER. The voice said urgently. We have a 53-year-old male, massive cardiac arrest in the ambulance, ROSC achieved, but he's destabilizing rapidly. We need you here now. He needs emergency coronary bypass. Vitals, I asked, my brain already shifting into surgical mode. BP's crashing, 80/40. O2 sat at 88% on 100% oxygen. We've got him on pressors, but he's not responding well. I'll be there in 15 minutes, I said. Prep OR3, call in my team, and get 4 units of O negatives standing by. Thank you. Dr. Torres. I hung up and looked around the table. 23 faces stared at me in confusion. I have to go, I said. There's a patient coding. Diane's voice was faint. I looked at Michael. I'm sorry. I have to go save someone's life. Wait, Amanda said. Did she just say Dr. Torres? I pulled my hospital badge from my purse, the one I always carried on, set it on the table in front of Diane. Asterisk, Dr. Sophia Torres, MD, asterisk, cardiothoracic surgery, asterisk, 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 Massachusetts General Hospital, asterisk, asterisk. The silence was deafening. I'm not a housekeeper, I said calmly. I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. I operate on hearts. I've been a doctor for 5 years and a surgeon for 3. I make $385,000 a year. I own my own condo in Back Bay, and right now, I need to leave because someone's heart is failing, and I am one of 7 people in this city qualified to fix it. Diane's fork clattered to her plate. I looked at Michael. We'll talk later. Then, I grabbed my coat and left. I made it to Mass General in 12 minutes. Traffic was light on Christmas. I was in the OR in 20, scrubbed and gloved, staring at a 53-year-old man's exposed chest. Okay, people, I said to my surgical team. Let's save Mr. Patterson's Christmas. The surgery took 6 hours. Triple bypass, complicated by scarring from a previous cardiac event. We lost him twice on the table but brought him back both times. By the time I closed his chest, the sun was rising on December 26th. Beautiful work, Dr. Torres, my attending said. You just gave that man another 20 years with his grandkids. In the surgeon's lounge. Finally, out of my scrubs, I checked my phone. 67 missed calls. 42 text messages. Most were from Michael. Variations on please call me, and we need to talk, and my mother is hysterical. There were also messages from Amanda. Why didn't you tell us? From Michael's cousin. That was the most badass thing I've ever seen. And one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Diane. We need to speak. I deleted them all, except Michael's. I called him. Sophia, he answered immediately. Thank God. Are you okay? I'm fine. My patient's stable. I'm so sorry. I should have told them. I should have corrected Mom years ago. Yes, I agreed. You should have. Can you come home? Everyone wants to apologize. I'm staying at the hospital tonight, I said. Mr. Patterson needs monitoring. But Michael, we need to talk about something bigger than your mother's assumptions. What do you mean? You were embarrassed when I answered my phone. You wanted me to stay at dinner, instead of going to save someone's life. That tells me something about what you value. He was quiet for a long moment. That's not fair, isn't it, Michael? You let your family think I was a housekeeper for 3 years. You never once corrected them. You never stood up for me. Why? I don't know, he said miserably. I guess, ... Part of me liked that you weren't part of that world, that you were different from them. But you also wanted me to fit into their world. You wanted me to stay quiet, to not make waves, to let them condescend to me. I was wrong. Yes, you were. I hung up and went to check on Mr. Patterson. He was awake, groggy but stable. His wife was crying with relief. Thank you, she kept saying. Thank you for saving him, for giving me more time. That was why I did this job. Not for recognition, not for money, but for moments like this. 3 days later, I met Diane for coffee. Neutral territory at Starbucks, in downtown Boston. She looked smaller somehow, less formidable without her estate as a backdrop. I owe you an apology, she said stiffly. I made assumptions. Terrible assumptions. Yes, you did. Michael should have corrected me. Yes, he should have. But you also should have asked. You should have treated me with basic respect regardless of what you thought I did for a living. She flinched. You're right, I'm not accustomed to being wrong. I noticed. Will you forgive me? I considered it. Eventually, maybe. But Diane, I need you to understand something. I would have been worthy of respect even if I was a housekeeper. The problem wasn't that you thought I cleaned houses. The problem was that you thought that made me lesser. She nodded slowly. I understand. For what it's worth, I Googled you. Your surgical outcomes are remarkable. You published a paper on minimally invasive valve replacement that's apparently revolutionary. It's getting attention. I admitted. You're quite accomplished. Michael should be proud. He should be proud regardless of my accomplishments, because I'm a good person who treats people with kindness. That should be enough. We finished our coffee in uncomfortable silence. As for Michael and me, we're in couples therapy, working through his inability to stand up to his family, my resentment over 3 years of being disrespected, and whether we want the same things. I don't know if we'll make it, but I know one thing. I'm done hiding who I am to make other people comfortable. My name is Dr. Sophia Torres. I'm 34 years old. I operate on hearts, save lives, and demand respect not because of my title, but because I'm a human being who deserves it. And if that's too much for the Wellingtons of the world, that's their problem, not mine. Mr. Patterson sent me flowers last week. His granddaughter made me a thank you card with crayons. You saved Papa, it read. That's worth more than all the Wellington approval in the world.